Hello and welcome to our tutorial, our little run through of the pen tool, the much feared pen tool. In terms of making selections, this is usually the last thing people experiment with, but go ahead, give it a try. Really, I strongly recommend you practice with this guy. It won't take more than about 5 or 10 minutes, 15 minutes before you get really good. And the pen tool is excellent for making selections on either sharp corners or sharp corners as well as rounded edges. Okay, with your pen tool selected, make sure you have paths selected. If you accidentally have this on, what is this called again, shape layers or something like that? Yep. Here's what's going to happen. My foreground color is set to black, but as I click and drag points, you see it's filling with the foreground color, and I really don't want to do that. So go ahead and hit the backspace or delete key to make that go away. Make sure your paths are clicked on and you're ready to go. One thing I recommend is in your preferences in Photoshop, you can set your scroll wheel to zoom, and that's real useful so that you can take a good look at the edge. I'm a little bit out of the picture, so I'll hold the space bar down to get the hand tool, come down here. I'm going to start here with the pen tool. First thing I'm going to do is just drop one point, just a quick click, and be done with it. And then I'm going to start coming around edges. That's right, so I'm going to click here, and then as the left click is held down, I'm going to drag out, and I get these little guys called Bezier handles. And these are the ones where I can control every aspect of the curvature of this. So as you can see, if I pull a Bezier handle out more, the line goes farther and farther away from the edge, and as I rotate it this way, the sharpest part of that curve gets closer to the previous point, or the sharpest part of the curve gets closer to the point I just dropped. So you have really all the control you need to be able to drag that guy right on there. Now, ready to make the next one, and here's where a lot of people just, want to throw up their hands because they drop their next click, and it gets kind of really, you can see how out of shape this is, and it's kind of a mess. A couple of tricks here. One, get it as close as you can, and then number two, what you need to do is adjust these Bezier handles on the end here by holding down the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac. See that little V symbol there? Now I have control over only this one, and I can go ahead and play there, holding the Alt or Option key down, and play there, and slowly zoom that guy in to where I want it. Now, one other technique is, now with my third point dropped, I'm going to drop a fourth point in here. I'm not sure whether this guy is going to screw up my curve, so I hold down the Alt key and then click on the point itself, and it makes only that Bezier handle go away. And I kind of get a little bit more control over this curve, like that. Okay. Come up here. Now I'm not going to do an Alt or an Option click on this point to remove this Bezier handle, because I can see it's aligned really well here, and so I think I should have no problems hitting this slight curve, so I'll just go ahead and drop and pull, and sure enough I can come in there pretty nicely. Okay. And just for the heck of it, I think I'm going to do an Alt or Option click on this one to get rid of this guy, and I'm going to click and come around here, and I can see I kind of missed it, didn't I? Missed the edge. So now if you don't drop a point exactly where you want, just hold down the Control key or the Command key on a Mac, click on your point, and now you can move your point around and reposition that just right where I want it. And I see this curve is not happening much, so I'm going to hold down the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac, play with that a little bit better. And this is still not coming out very well here. I kind of screwed that one up also. I'd like to get my Bezier handles back again here, and they've kind of disappeared. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key again or the Option key on a Mac and click directly on the point, click and drag. And then I get my handles back again. And then again, that Alt key or Option key is very useful because I can control each Bezier handle individually like that. And then come back up here, Alt-Option key, bring them in nicely. Okay. Now I can't remember if I got rid of this Bezier handle or not, so I'm just going to go ahead and do an Alt or Option click anyway to get rid of it. Click around here, drop another one. Okay. And then I'll come around here, all the way around here, click and drag. Kind of a mess. I screwed up a little bit. Play with this one, hold the Alt or Option key down. Still not great. What I really would like, since I feel I went a little bit too far, it's not too bad, but to get even finer control, I'd like to have another point in here. So just simply hover over the line. You see the plus symbol. Click, drag, you get another point. So you can add points easily by simply hovering over the line between 2 points that you've already placed. Okay, that's it for controlling, adding points, moving Bezier handles easily. So I'm just going to go ahead and make what is sure to be kind of a sloppy selection here, just for demonstration purposes only. One thing in here I might point out, now I've got a kind of a sharp turn here in the corner. This is definitely not a curve here. So one thing I want to do is I want to make sure that Bezier handle coming up this way is gone, so I'll do an Alt click there, and then I'm simply going to do a single click to create a straight line. I'm off a little bit, no big deal. Hold the Command or Control key down, move that in a little bit, and I might want to place a little curve right along there. So I would hold the Alt key down and then click drag to get my slight curve in there, and again on this guy to pull him back out again. Everything's looking pretty good. Okay, so for the sharp curves you just drop a single point, and then dropping single points will add a straight line all the time. Single click, single click, single click. You want to come around a curve, it's going to be a single left click and then a drag to pull out your Bezier handles. Okay, so let me go ahead and just finish up this coffee cup completely. Okay, not the world's greatest selection, but this is just for demonstration purposes only. I'm coming up here to complete the path. So I've dropped a point pretty close to where I started, and then you'll see your cursor change to a circle, and I would just go ahead and click in there. And now it's done. So we've made the first selection of the cup, and what I want to do is place another pen selection right in here to remove this part. So let me just go ahead and make a click one. I've got some straight points, straight lines in here, so I'm just going to do click. I'm just going to do click. Then I'm going to do a click drag, and we're going to make this one kind of a quick one. I don't want to go too far around these curves, because then it gets a little bit more troubling in terms of adjusting all these handles and everything. This Bezier handle is way out of shape here. I know I'm going to have trouble making a nice curve here, so I'm going to do, again, Alt click on the point, make that guy go away. Come in here close to where I started, curve her up a little bit, Alt click to get rid of that point, and then do I want to do that? Click in there. Alright, that's good enough for our purposes. Okay, so now we've gone ahead and selected the whole thing. So what you're going to do now? Well, what you're going to do now is come over to your Paths panel, and there it is. So do a Control click on the thumbnail image or a Command click on the thumbnail image to make it a selection. With it selected, now you can do all sorts of stuff to play with it. What I'm going to do is a Command J or a Control J. Actually, I'm not going to do that right now. The very first thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to choose a selection tool, and it doesn't matter which one you choose, But by doing this, now you have in, what is it, CS3 and above, I believe, the Refine Edge capability, which is incredible. And we have a fantastic tutorial on every detail of working with the Edge through the Refine Edge dialog box. So the very first thing I'm going to do is just feather this guy up, just a tad. And that'll just about do it. Press OK. Alrighty, good. Now I'm ready to create a new layer of my selection only with a Control-J or a Command-J on a Mac. Okay, now one thing I might want to do here is create a drop shadow on this. Now this already has a drop shadow, and I kind of want to get rid of that, so I'll come to the background layer, and let's see, my foreground color is black. So what am I going to do? Hit Alt Backspace? Yeah? Alt Backspace is going to make it the foreground color. How about if I hit a Shift Backspace? If I hit Shift Backspace, now I can choose my background color, which is white. And now my background color is white. Okay, this is what I want. So I've got my selection only. Now I'm going to make my own drop shadow on here. So double click that layer, and you get the layer style dialog box. I'm going to go ahead and click drop shadow, and then I'm going to play with the distance, spread, and size sliders only. See what that happens. Distance out a little bit. You can kind of see it happening over here. The spread out just a little bit, and then the size is going to fuzz it up kind of nicely. Okay, let's go ahead and do that, and then just simply press OK. Now I do get some kind of flexibility with that dialog box, the layers style dialog box, but I want even more flexibility on this shadow. So now what I'm going to do is go to Layer, Layer Style, Create Layer. I'll get this little message that says some aspects of the effects cannot be reproduced with layers. Just click OK, never mind. And what you see is now that drop shadow has come down on its own layer. It's been separated from the original layer. So now I can come down here and I can press Command T or Control T to get a transform box. Now I can really play with the shadow. I can do things like, for example, hold the Control or Command key on a Mac down, and I can start moving this shadow around. I can change the opacity of the shadow. I can do all sorts of stuff, which is great. Just for demo purposes, again, I'll go ahead and leave it there. When I like it, go ahead and click the check box. The effect will be accepted. And I can do other stuff with that, right? I can, with that layer active, I can take the opacity and bring that down a little bit if I want. Whatever I want to do on that. Now another thing I can do is, create another kind of background here. If I press the G key, now I have the gradient options here, and I've got this selected real dark red to almost black. Now what I can do is simply, in the image, how about if I just do a click and drag down here with the gradient tool, I can get a real nice kind of different background on there. So those are a couple of things you can do once you make your selection, and of course, regardless of how you make your selections, whether it's the lasso tool or the polygonal lasso tool or whatever, any kind of selection you make, you can go ahead and do all sorts of effects on that subsequent. But primarily that's the pen tool. The most important keys you'll be using the pen tool will be the Control or Command key on a Mac and the Alt or Option key on a Mac. Have fun with that, and I strongly recommend you play with the pen tool. It's really great fun and extremely useful, and can end up making better selections than you could using some of your other selection tools. Much easier, and once you get used to it, faster also. Okay, excellent. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.